Hello and welcome to Byju's IAS. We from the team Byju's wish you all a happy and a Merry Christmas. Let's get started and look into the first article. The first article says India files appeal against Vodafone case verdict. The second article here speaks about learning to let go. Both these articles will be merged and we will take it up as part of a single discussion. Yesterday we did discuss about the arbitration council giving judgment against India. We did also say you that there was a resemblance to the Vodafone case as well. So hope you would have listened to the yesterday's video and the Vodafone case judgment as well. In this particular backdrop, we have the government of India which is currently now going to appeal against the Vodafone case judgment. What is it all about? We have the Permanent Court of Arbitration which had recently issued an order and a ruling against the government of India. What was this ruling all about? With reference to the Kane Energy, the government of India has to pay certain amount, says this particular ruling. In the other case of Vodafone issue as well, the government of India had to pay some charges. What were these charges? It is about 80 crores as a cost to the litigation matter. Because the Vodafone had to file this particular case, it had to engage in this particular case, there was litigation cost. As a result, all the costs bore by Vodafone had to be paid by the government of India, says this particular ruling given by the Permanent Court of Arbitration. When was this judgment passed? This was given in September 2020, and India had to look into this particular matter and had to appeal against this particular ruling within a time span of about 90 days or within a 3-month deadline. And the deadline for India to appeal in reference to the Vodafone case happens to end in the month of December. So what has the government of India decided now? The government of India in the present scenario has decided that it has to file a case against this particular ruling. In this particular backdrop, we have to understand what could be the repercussions for India and the investments when it comes to the foreign companies as well as industries. Both the Vodafone ruling as well as the Kane Energy ruling both has implications and consequences for India. What are these consequences? One is in terms of the investment. The second is in terms of the fiscal cost. What happens when it comes to the investment? Let's say for example, currently we have Vodafone which has a deadline. So what has the government of India done? It is planning to appeal against the Vodafone case verdict. This means in case there is the arbitration council which has given a particular judgment, the government of India is not accepting this particular judgment, respecting the international sentiments, and this also means that the rule of order laid by the permanent council may not get approved and followed in the near future is one of the major problems. So what would happen? Countries in the near future, companies in the near future might not invest in India. Why? That is because they feel that India might not accept the ruling of the Permanent Court of Arbitration when it comes to the investments. This means that all the efforts that India has taken in the recent past to increase the ease of doing business in India might not go good, says this article. The second information is about the fiscal issue. What is to do with the fiscal implications? Let's say with respect to the Vodafone, India is approximately supposed to pay around 80 crores as part of the litigation cost. In the present scenario, India is supposed to pay thousands of crores to the Kane Energy in India. So what is happening here? It is the Indian taxpayers' money. The government has to take this money and has to contribute to all these issues that which is emanating because of the ruling of the Permanent Court of Arbitration. So where is India suffering? India is suffering at the global level. One, on the image with respect to the global order, and at the same time the money that India's taxation has collected, this money will be used for repayment of all these charges, sees the second major issue. So these are some of the concerns when it comes to this particular issue. Now the question is, why did the government of India take so many days to actually file for an appeal? That is because it was also waiting for the verdict of the Kane Energy. The government of India cannot appeal in one case and cannot ignore in the other scenario. So when it is applying for the Vodafone case, it also means it wants to set the precedent precedent also for the Kane Energy as well. That is why the government in this particular case has filed against the Vodafone case verdict. This particular issue also raises a conflicting standpoint as well. What is this conflicting standpoint? Let's say, for example, we have the government. The government had in the past had said that the previous regime of the government of India, that is the UPA government, had introduced what is called as the retrospective taxation. In fact, we have the opposition party leaders back then who happened to be Arun Jaitley, and in fact the present government as well, that is in the form of NDA, had also obstructed the retrospective taxation. Now, all of a sudden, if the government is appealing against the Vodafone judgment, it means that the government is violating its own stand when it comes to the retrospective taxation. But we also have to remember that the government is appealing. That is because the Permanent Court of Arbitration has requested the government of India to pay back all the taxation that it has collected in the form of Kane Energy penalty. But kindly remember, we are going through some torrid times. Why? Because we are in the COVID-19 times as well. So the government already has a lot of fiscal stress during this particular period. If the government of India is asked to pay thousands of crores back to Kane Energy, the government of India's coffer will be in greater deficit. And as a result, the government of India in the present scenario has appealed in reference to the Vodafone case, whose precedent in the near future can also be a reference to the Kane Energy as well. It is this that we have to understand in reference to this article. Now let's look into the next article. This article says provocation trap. What is this provocation trap? Provocation here gives an indirect reference to United States of America as well as Israel. So who is trapped? It happens to be Iran. So this article here is focusing on Iran as well as the United States of America's relationship, and this also asks the Iran administration to wait for some time so that Joe Biden administration comes over and resettles all the peace deals that which was initiated by the Obama regime. Let's try and understand what is this article all about. Basically, we recently had one of the nuclear scientists being assassinated. Iran actually pointed out that this was an indirect act of United States of America and a direct act of Israel as a country. We also have Qasem Soleimani as well, who happened to be an Iranian major general. He was also killed by United States of America. In both these instances, what we have is Iran had to show that it is one of the major power in West Asia. So what happened after Qasem Soleimani incident? Iran hit back at United States of America, and now we had the death of Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, and Iran had to wait for its opportunity to hit back at United States of America. Now what we have is groups supporting Iran have launched rockets that which have slammed the Iraqi capital Baghdad, killing about one girl, breaking a month-long truce against the attacks initiated by United States of America. For the last 1 month, we did not have any retaliation from Iran. But in the present juncture, what we have is Iran, which has retaliated against United States of America. Why has Iran retaliated against United States of America? One is that it does not want to be a weak power. All the major powers, especially the ones who have a major influence in that particular region, would always want to hit back if someone hits at them. So what happens with respect to Iran and United States of America? Because United States of America had killed one of its prime members, Iran, who wants to also show that it has a major influence when it comes to the West Asian region, did not want to show itself as a weak power. So one of the major reasons of retaliation in the present scenario is that one of its groups indirectly has hit the rockets at the embassy in the Baghdad region. Another important factor is with respect to the appeasement. So what is happening here with United States of America as hit at Iran, it also means people of that particular region are also enraged as well. So in order to appease the political circuit, the domestic circuit in that particular country, Iran also had to hit at United States of America. So the two major reasons is that Iran wanted to show United States of America it is not a weak power, and at the same time it also wanted to appease its domestic circuit. in the present scenario, we have one of the groups that was supported by Iran, which has launched rockets which landed in the high security green zone where we had the US embassy and other foreign emissions which are based in this green zone. So what is this green zone basically? This green zone is nothing but that which is present in the Iraq capital. This happens to be one of the most secured regions. It is assumed to be a safe location, and this houses number of embassies for the United States of America and other western countries as well. So rockets were launched into this particular region as per the current scenario. So the United States of America has blamed one of the groups called as Qadib Hezbollah, which happens to be influenced by the Iranian regime. This particular attack has infuriated United States of America. It has also requested the government of Iran to make sure that tougher action is taken against the perpetrators who have launched these rocket launchers. What will be the impact? This ultimately means that there'll be grave tensions in this particular region of West Asia. In fact, we also have President Donald Trump and senior leaders of administration who pointed their fingers at Iran, saying that it is they who have supplied the rockets and they will face the repercussions of this particular action. But we have to understand this entire blame falls on the United States of America led by the Trump administration. Why? If United States of America's and Iran relationship are at this explosive stage, that is because of the constant suffocation that which was infused by the United States of America. So the maximum pressure was enforced by United States of America, where a silent Iran is now ready to fight for its own rights as well as its region influence. What has been the response of Iran? In all these cases, there was constant pressure from United States of America and its allies to cut down the power of Iran in this particular region. But Iran has also constantly hit back at United States of America wherever it has got a chance with respect to its embassy. So earlier, we also had a tank of Jeddah which was attacked allegedly by the Iran-backed Houthi rebels of Yemen as well, and indirectly it has been using its proxies and has been attacking oil facilities and tankers in the Gulf region as well. All this means that Iran is also giving back to United States of America and is not going to hold back because it does not want to show itself as a weak power. But the author in the present scenario has gone on to say that Iran attacking close by the embassies in Iraq was a bad deal and a bad precedent set by Iran. Why? Because the Trump administration will stay for another 1 month, and after that we will have the Joe Biden administration who will take over the United States of America. He wants to reboot the diplomacy. So because there are larger interests that are attached to it, Iran should wait and watch and make sure that it is rebooting the diplomacy with United States of America, says this article. So basically, Iran should not support any of the military indirectly during this transition process, says this article. It is this that we have to understand in reference to this article. Now let's look into the next article. This article says economic revival beating predictions, says the RBI bulletin. When you look into the statistics given by the world community, let's say for example the World Bank, or we have the IMF, or let's say for example we have the Asian Development Bank at the global level, and when it comes to India itself, we have the RBI, which has always said that it will take a lot of time for us to get over the issue of pandemic with respect to the economy. But the recent RBI bulletin has gone on to say India is recovering at a faster pace than which was predicted by the Reserve Bank of India in its monthly bulletin. So according to the bulletin, the forces that are helping India are that there is a reduction of the COVID-19 infection curve. Even if the infection is present, it is present in smaller pockets and it is not much compared than the earlier, says this particular bulletin. Since the COVID-19 influence is comparatively getting reduced and is not having a greater impact, we will have a faster recovery, says this bulletin. And at the same time, the economic conditions have continued to improve over a period of time. There has been an uptick in agriculture and the manufacturing sector, which is boosting the economy, says this RBI bulletin. And at the same time, while all this is happening, the RBI also gives a word of caution to the government as well. What is the caution all about? One, it takes into picture both the central government as well as the state government. What is happening whenever there is a problem in the economy? What we require is the fiscal stimulus. The government will have to pump in the money. It has to make sure that the poor sections, the unorganized sector, the unemployed sector, as well as all the major sectors like the MSME, which is suffering, is given enough boost when it comes to the market. But of late, what we are actually witnessing is the fiscal stimulus given by the central government as well as the state government is comparatively less. So what it is asking the center and the states is to continue what is called as the counter cyclical fiscal measures. So what is this counter cyclical fiscal measures? Let's say for example, when the economy is not doing good, it is slowing down. When there is contraction in the business cycle, it is for the government of India or the government of the respective states to start spending and cutting down on the taxes so that people have enough money so that they can actually spend in the market. So ideally, whenever there is a recession or there is a slowdown in the economy, it is for the government to provide the stimulus during this particular period. So what does it call for? It calls for the revenue expenditure. So it is asking the government to pump in more money when it comes to the expenditure on the revenue side. So it is asking for the government to provide more social protections to the underprivileged and also address labor market dislocations that which is present in the economy. It is also asking for increasing the capital expenditure as well. What is this capital expenditure? Let's say for example, improvement of the infrastructure and also making public investment in the healthcare, social housing, education and environmental protection. So the state government and the central government should not back down, but instead it should add more money into the system so that the economy becomes inclusive and we are able to overcome this particular issue simultaneously, says this bulletin. Further, this article goes on to conclude that the fiscal stimulus, if it is given by the central government and by the state government, what we will have is a boost of nearly 2% of the GDP in 2020 and 21, says this particular bulletin. It is this that we have to understand in reference to this article. Now let's look into the next article. This article says Brexit trade deal. What is Brexit? It is nothing but British exit from the European Union, which happens to be an economic and political alliance of the European countries that which was built after the Second World War. What we have right now is British exit from the European Union. The British officially exited from the European Union in the month of January 2020. After this particular process, what they had to do was have negotiations with the European Union as to how they would have their transactions with respect to the economy, with respect to the security, with respect to the migration, with respect to the other aspects of trade deal for the last 1 month. So they've had all the transactions for the last 1 month and now they've officially concluded what is this trade deal all about. Kindly note, this is a comprehensive topic. So we will be taking up this comprehensive topic in the next subsequent number of days. Why? Because we are expecting more editorials and columns. So kindly note, as of now, just have a fair idea, do a basic reading as well. We will take up this article tomorrow and in the subsequent number of days as well. Now let's look into some of the preliminary practice questions. Consider the following statements. It is a breach of privilege and contempt of the House to make speeches or to print or publish libel reflecting on the character or proceedings of the House or its committees or any member of the House or relating to his character or conduct as a legislator. The Parliament has the power to punish members irrespective of whether the offence is committed within the House or beyond its walls. Which of the above statements is or correct? The answer to this is both. Why have we taken this practice question? Because of the reference given under this article. So kindly remember, this article here is speaking about the breach of privilege and contempt of the House. In case there is an individual who has cast reflections on member of parliament or the parliament or its committees, this could be considered as the breach of the privilege. In case there is a person where breach of the privilege proceedings are initiated against him, such a person can be given a warning by the House. It can be the Lok Sabha or it can be the Rajya Sabha, or if it is more serious in nature, they can also be sent to the prison as the case may be. So we will wait and watch what would happen with respect to Arvind Kejriwal issue and take up this issue once again. Now let's look into the next practice question. Which of the following statements about Vishwa Bharati University is or correct? It was founded by Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore in 1921 and is located in Shantiniketan, West Bengal. The President of India is the Chancellor of the university. Which of the statements are correct? The answer to this is one only. Why? Because it is not the President of India, but instead it is the Prime Minister of India who happens to be the Chancellor of the university. Why have we taken this practice question? Because of the reference given under this article. Kindly remember, this was founded by Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore in the year 1921 at Bolpur in West Bengal's Birbhum district. Until independence, this was a college, but after independence, the institution was given a national importance tag and it also became a central university in the year 1951 by an act of the parliament. What do we understand by Vishwa Bharati? This was the very idea of Sir Rabindranath Tagore. What is it all about? Tagore wanted all his students to view the society from the perspective of internationalism, humanism, and universal brotherhood. And as a result, what we have is Vishwa Bharati, which was actually set up by Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore ji in the year 1921. Now let's look into the next practice question. With reference to National Company Law Appellate Tribunal, which of the following statements is or correct? NCLAT is the appellate tribunal to hear and dispose of appeals against any direction, issued or decision made or order passed by the Competition Commission of India. NCLAT decisions are binding on the parties. Which of the statements are correct? The answer to this is one only. Why? Because the NCLAT decisions are not binding on the parties and they can also head to the Supreme Court of India to resolve this particular issue. Why have we taken this practice question? Because of the reference given under this article. Now let's look into the next practice question. Which of the following statements are correct regarding the general difference between the plant cell and the animal cell? Plant cells have cellulose cell wall while animal cells do not. Plant cells do not have plasma membrane unlike animal cells which do. Mature plant cell has one large vacuole while animal cell has many small vacuoles. Select the correct answer using the code given below. The answer to this is 1 and 3. Why? Because the second statement happens to be wrong. So the answer is 1 and 3. Now let's look into the mains practice question. Today we have essay. So take up these topics. Economic growth without distributive justice is bound to breed violence. And we have the second essay topic. The Cold War is over, but Cold War thinking survives. So please write both these essays on the comment section, peer review, and also come up with some constructive criticism. So this is it for today. Thank you for watching. All the best.